Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Terrain365 Mako flipper. Terrain365, of course, being, popular for the Terravantium blade material. I keep wanting to say steel, though it's not steel, it's dendritic cobalt, and it cannot corrode or rust, or, right? You get what I'm saying. Thanks so much to the gentleman who sent this in for review, and thank you very much to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. There's a link for Patreon right down below. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. And subscribe! Are you subscribed? Check to see. You should. I upload every single day. Let's go ahead and, by the way, right off the bat, I want to say this. So, looking up some information, just some specs and things, I noticed that on, there was a couple of different sites that I looked at. Some sites will list this as the country of origin being the USA, and other sites like Knife Center will list it as being imported. So I went to the Terrain365 website because I could have sworn the Invictus collab was US. And it says in their frequently asked questions page, it says Terrain365 Edge tools are 100% made in the United States or fully vetted like hybrids with the highest caliber international partners, something like that, right? So either all US or partially US. I don't know if this is which this is, right? I'm gonna guess it's one of the hybrids, but that's all the information that I can give you guys there. Let's go ahead and, oh, and by the way, this will absolutely be linked down in the description. It's one of the few Terrain365 knives that you can get periodically. I can't promise it'll always be down there, right? That it'll always be in stock, but I'll link it anyway. Overall length of the Mako flipper coming in at 7 1/8. Blade length coming in right at 3 inches on the dot. So be careful about that if you live in a 3-inch blade law area. Cutting edge coming in at 2.85 inches. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and its little brother, the Rat Model 2. It's absolutely very similar to the Rat Model 2. Interesting. It's got a little bit more presence than that pretentious way of saying that, sorry. Yeah, it's similar to the Rat 2. PM2 and Para 3, definitely closer to the Para 3, but still just a little bit shorter with comparable, actually, no, more cutting edge on the Mako, so that's cool. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogan, its little brother, the Mini Griptilian. Obviously closer to the size of the Mini Grip, definitely more cutting edge and more handle room as well. Let's go ahead and do carry profile up against the Spyderco Para 3. You can see here the thickness is very comparable. It's ever so slightly thinner than the Spyderco Para 3. Ever so slight, just teeny tiny little bit. It's got a bit of a flipper tab sticking out there. Let's do height and length up against the PM2 and Para 3. Still shorter than both and still nowhere near as tall, even including the flipper tab. You can see there, Para 3 still coming in much taller. Something to think about anyway. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. You can absolutely get my tools down in the description once again. I've decided to just put those links down there and say, whatever. So you can get those if you want to. The pivot, I believe, is going to be a T8. In fact, I think the entire thing is going to be T8. Yeah, T8 on the pivot. And T8, oh, beautiful. T8 on the body screws. That's just wonderful. Nice minimal hardware. We got some T6 pocket clip screws. That's all right. No big deal. Should be pretty easy to take apart. It's a standard frame lock. So, nice. How about blade stock thickness? Where are those There they are. Right beside me. Past me, was trying to help me out. I was looking to the left and they were directly to my right. Blade stock thickness on the Mako coming in at 147 thousandths. So, not thick. Thicker than I thought it would be. That's about the same as the PM2. Okay, it's fine. Let's take a look at the inside. You can absolutely pick my flashlight up down in the description as well. There is no milling. It's just titanium in there. I'm going to guess this weighs 4 3.75 to 4 ounces. Let's find out. No, way less. Oh, are you serious? Jeez, why do I think that? Oh, well, I'm not always right. I'm only right like half the time. 3.07 ounces. That's actually close to what I consider to be ultra lightweight. That's so weird. Why does it feel like it weighs more than that? Well, I'm just stupid, I guess. That's the only answer. So there you go. Ratios, people will actually be very happy with that. And the balance of it, I'm sure, is good. Yeah, it's right there in the main area you're going to put your index finger. So that's great. All right. This area right here might bother some people. I still wouldn't carry this in athletic shorts, but in pretty much any other situation, this is going to be fine. So yeah, there you go. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about this thing. So we have kind of not really a bead blast, it's a tumbled frame with some of the lines on it. So I can just barely get a 4-finger grip on this guy. It's fine, it's comfortable because the pocket clip is nicely knocked down and well, it's contoured, right? It's comfortable. This area right here just seems kind of unnecessary to me because it cramps you and it keeps you. It makes sure that you're quite a ways from the cutting edge, right? And it's not really, this ramp is not really a good choke up position. I don't really understand that. I mean, I guess it's to house the flipper tab completely in the open position, but I also feel like the flipper tab didn't really need to be so big. I mean, we don't have a giant blade flying out of here. And it also kind of kills, in my opinion, it kind of kills the aesthetic. Let's just bear with me. Imagine it was more like this. Oh, I think that looks better. That's just my opinion, though. So that's weird. I think many issues, I just don't like to be cramped on a knife. I can get it, right? I just don't want to be cramped on there. But it is, there's no hot spots in this. I mean, the clip, you can feel it, but it's not a hot spot. It's fine. Now, the blade is a much darker sort of, I don't know if we're going to call that bead blasting or what, but it doesn't really matter. The finish is nice and smooth, and it's Terravantium, which is it's proprietary through Terrain365, but it is dendritic cobalt. It's not a steel. It's interesting. Nick Shabazz and I talked about this with the Invictus. It doesn't feel razor sharp. And honestly, it's the same thing. I can tell this is brand new. It doesn't feel razor sharp, but then it will still bite and glide through material. And it will cut for a very, very long time. I still don't know exactly what I want to say about the toughness, but another incredible attribute is the fact that it's not going to corrode. So the combination of titanium and Terravantium here means that you can pretty much carry this thing worry-free even in a wet environment. I think that's neat. I like the weird blade materials. I like these new things. I like that we're messing around with a lot more stuff that isn't steel. It makes it fun and interesting. Do I have a place for it in my life? No, not at all. But there are definitely people who have day-to-day stuff, or they have occupations where a blade material like this makes a lot more sense, right? This is beyond your Vanax, your LC200N, right? Your H1, which shouldn't even be a thing anymore, honestly. It's beyond that, right? It's in the category of stuff that, I guess chemical makeup, right? Elemental makeup, whatever. I'm obviously not a scientist of any type. I'm not a professional anything. It cannot corrode. So that's cool. I do like harpoon blades, and I like that they've done a harpoon blade that's fully flat ground here. I also really like their logo and how it's kind of gold, how they laser it in there, and then it says Terravantium USA. Well, there you go. I mean, it says USA on there, but I should have looked. I was looking at the front side. I never looked over here. So they're saying USA. There you go. So right at the beginning, I gave some information like I couldn't figure it out, and it literally says right on the blade. So my bad, Terrain365. This one is, they're claiming USA, right? But their frequently asked questions page does factually say that. So if you want to check out, right, maybe that's the case here. Maybe they say USA and it's like half and half. I don't really know. All I can do is go by what it says here on the blade. But anyways, fully flat ground comes down to reasonably thin edge. You can see the taper there out to the tip. It's okay. Remember, it's not starting super thick. I like that this area is crowned or radiused, I guess, however you want to say that. And they've got some nice jimping here. This is a nice spot to rest your thumb. Nice sharpening choil too. Apparently Terravantium is not really all that difficult to sharpen. Nick was telling me that, and I've heard that from a few other people as well. So that's kind of neat. I like that. I mean, something like, you know, that's sporting those type of attributes. If it's easy to sharpen, that's a huge benefit to me, right? That's something that's massively, massively overlooked by people who buy knives. It's like, yeah, great, it can do all this amazing stuff, but when it comes time to sharpen it, how easy is it going to be to put an edge back on it, right? If it's really easy, I mean, if it's somewhat easy to sharpen, like S35VN and D2, those are kind of up there. Like about D2 is about, you know, that's the end of easy for me. D2 is right about where it starts to get frustrating. So anything beyond that for somebody like me, and I definitely represent the common man, right? The average person is probably going to be right about like me. Anything beyond that is going to be a little bit difficult. So it's nice if it's in that territory, which I'm guessing, if it's somewhat easy to sharpen, right? Got a lanyard hole back here. And by the way, the lines do add something going on here. I like that there's something here that, you know, I'd prefer that there were these versus nothing. Plain tie is starting to get a little boring. This is contoured too, by the way. The scale is nice and contoured. So that's nice. And I like that they've got these lines here. Versus nothing. But I think I would have preferred something else. That's just me personally. I would have loved like just some diagonal, you know, kind of how they do on that A-Purvis Zerks that I had. I loved how they did the diagonal line. So I think maybe some smaller ones, and if they did it all the way through, it'd look cool. Or maybe just like one area right here, if they carve it out and do some, right? I'm just going over things that I personally would have wanted to see. This is fine though. Does it add any meaningful traction? I don't know. Maybe a little teeny tiny bits. Yeah. A little bit, sure. Okay, that's nice. Nothing crazy going on there. Lanyard hole, they got a backspacer back here with a little bit of jimping. That's fine, it looks good. Pocket clip is absolutely prioritized over the lanyard hole, so that's great. And it's gonna carry pretty darn deep. It's great, you just got two little eyeballs poking out over there. There is no over travel stop or lock bar insert. Now, I don't know if it needs a lock bar insert. It's interesting because dendritic cobalt's not steel. So the purpose of a lock bar insert is to slow wear over time versus a super hard steel blade. But Terravantium is not steel. So how those two things would interact, right? I'm wondering if the lock bar insert might actually wear the blade and it might wear faster because of that. Because titanium's not super hard, and I don't think Terravantium is either. But I would have liked maybe an over travel disc just to feel good about it not, right? I mean, the pocket clip kind of does that because it's resting on both the frame and the frame lock. So it, you know, it does a decent job of that, but it's still, if you were in a high adrenaline situation and you went to close your knife with the power of 1,000 suns, right? You might bend it out. I still would have liked to seen some type of LBS disc over there. Lockup percentage. There's no lock stick whatsoever, by the way, so that's nice. Locks up at 30% or so, and the centering is dead on. How's the action? There's a little bit of gritty in there, but it's consistent gritty, and it's also a bit tight. It's not a glassy smoothness, but it does flip. The flipper tab does what it's supposed to do, right? You might be able to put some nano oil in there. You might be able to make it a little tiny bit better. It's absolutely running on bearings, but it just, you can almost hear it. It's all right. There's no double clutch or anything like that, right? But this is expensive. I think I would have liked to have it built. I'm getting a little bit more picky, guys. I don't know if you've noticed in my reviews. I'm getting a bit more picky after having handled so much stuff, right? This is good, but stuff like that, I'm gonna, if I feel it, right? Yeah, it feels like it's a little bit of gritty, right? A little grittiness. That's what I'm feeling in there. But it's okay. The action's all right. I mean, it definitely flips, and it's easy to disengage and put away. It's just not going to. You're just going to have to shake it quite a bit to get it to go down. It still does what it's supposed to do. So, USA or USA hybridized with international partners, manufacturing. We have Terravantium, We have a very simple, straightforward titanium frame lock with some nice, contoured titanium, some texturing here, right? Nothing crazy special going on. I think the vast majority of what you're paying for here is the blade material. Absolutely. How much does this knife cost? $350. I have no idea what it costs to machine or grind and heat treat Terravantium, what it costs to make, right? I know these things can't be being made in massive batches, but there's a lot of them, right? This is the one that I see. It could be hanging out because there's a lot of them, or it could be hanging out because not a lot of people are buying them. I'm not really sure. I don't think that anything Terrain365 is making is, we're not talking like on Spyderco or Benchmade level, right? But these are production knives for sure. So that being said, the price doesn't make me want to rush out and buy this. I'm just kind of apprehensive. I'm like, is 350? I mean, like the design itself is definitely not one where I'm like, I really want to spend $350 on that. That decision's going to be made with the material. I personally can't place this material of the utmost importance, or, it's interesting, but is it $350 interesting? I don't know. This is one of those things where it's gonna be, that's gonna be an easy decision for some people. It's because it is Terravantium and it cannot corrode. For some people, it's gonna be infinitely valuable, right? And maybe your hands are a bit smaller and maybe you really like the design. Is it well made? Yes, it is. The action is, it's okay. And it'll probably smooth up over time. It's all right. The Invictus was definitely smoother. And maybe I got a goofball here. I don't really know. It's all right. The action's not what I'd want to feel on a $350 knife if the blade steel were something like, 20 CV. If this was 20 CV, yeah, I'd be like, yeah, I'm feeling, better action in knives that are less expensive. But that blade material might, I don't know. I think $300 would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. 350 is high, but I'm hesitant to say it's not recommendable. This just isn't the most spectacular thing. I think the Invictus was like, wow, that thing was awesome. I was really, really impressed. And didn't they do an integral version of that? Man, that was freaking cool. The design, the modern design aesthetic, and and I'm a big fan of Prometheus Design Works, right? And that's where the Invictus design came from. I love it. It's so cool. That, but this is just not, the blade steel's not enough, or I'm sorry, the blade material's not enough to get me to want to spend $350 on this. So I think what Terrain365 is doing is awesome. And I think Terravantium is really interesting. I think it just, they've made some more interesting stuff. That's what I think, right? This isn't bad. It's just not something I want to tell people to rush out and buy. But of course, I will provide those links so that you guys can go down there and make that choice for yourself if you want to. It's linked right down below. In fact, I'll link Terrain365 knives in general so you guys can go see what else they've got going on. That's going to be pretty much it today. Thank you so much once again to the person who sent this in for review. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.